Good morning. I want to talk about vanity and healing layers. So, this is part of my healing journey, grieving journey. About 15 years ago, I distinctly remember walking across a street in Jersey City where I lived, and in the throes of one of those dark nights of the soul cycles, a descent into deep healing, I was aware that and named and dedicated my life at that time to open my heart. I was aware of a constricted heart. I was aware of judging, right? This judgment of the world around me being a projection of the judgment I had toward myself, of the introject of all the judgment that came at me growing up for my own good, right? All the criticism that was meant to turn me into a diamond, right? By the father who raised me. Like, I was never good enough because there was always room for improvement. And I healed that. I worked on that for decades, really opening my heart. Began with acknowledging the truth of how judgmental I was. As loving and kind as my true essence is, right, there was also a judging gaze. And in my relationship then, and with parenting, with having babies and toddlers, that mirror and the pain I moved through in relationship in those early years of having young children and being in relationship is a very, very difficult cycle, as those of you who have moved through it know. And now I find myself, after the death of my father, moving through. I cut my hair, and in the cutting, right, my intention was to let go of the past, to honor my father, to make offerings to the fire, and prayers for this world. And in so doing, as I prepared to cut, right, I took 4 sections and coiled them up and braided them and tied them up. And as I began that process, I was releasing. I'm going to pause this a moment. As I began to brush my hair, as soon as I stepped into that intention, right, it was 4:30 in the morning on July 6th. And my intention was to cut my hair and burn it on July 7th. grief, so many tears kept pouring out of me. And it was a beautiful release, a necessary release, because I had been able to hold space for my process and everybody else's, and move through my responsibilities as a parent, as a managing director of the Helix Healing Collective and Helix Training Program, and teaching collaborator, and showing up for my stepmother and my children, and my uncle and my sisters, and my husband, even, for grieving for the loss of my father. And now I was making time for deeper layers of myself. I had done the work for about 4 years upon finding out that my father had Alzheimer's. I'd done this work and really made peace with his mortality, and I began now, though, to connect with the daughter, to connect with the youngest parts of me that needed witnessing. But what surprised me was vanity. And this is the word, this is the space that I enter into now, right? Through these layers of healing. And what I understand about this is this journey of embracing my life force energy that I was taught to dim for survival in a predatory, lecherous world. And I was taught to absence myself, absence my beauty, absence my my sexuality and my vitality, my spontaneity, in order to be seen and not heard, right? This saying that people used to say, and my father, I think it was my father, even said once, whoever said it, it imprinted on my consciousness and memory, that children should be seen and not heard, right? So children, being a woman, a female, and being a powerful human, right? Our innate power is, it's not dangerous. We were taught that it was dangerous, right? This applies to all of us. And why? Because it changes it disrupts the control that the few who want to control things have over how the world is organized. And that is a whole nother subject. Staying on the subject of how to track and move through your healing journey, right, in layers. So now I'm at this layer of embracing, right, understanding vanity as a messenger and a gift to move through shame and let go of the shame about and projections about how I look, and the energy of vitality and exuberance and beauty is not only about how I look, it's about how I feel. And to feel that vitality is what is beautiful. To feel your creativity, to feel the song coming through you, expressing itself. That creativity is beautiful. And I haven't always felt beautiful. And this is hard for people to comprehend, being as beautiful as as my features are. Sometimes it doesn't look so beautiful. Like, right now I'm just waking up, tired. My eyes, I am a little swollen, and it doesn't even matter. I mean, we see it in this culture. Beautiful people disfiguring themselves because they don't feel beautiful, and they want to try to make themselves more beautiful, to achieve these unattainable results that are like, photoshopped beauty, or the beauty of prepubescent, children being sexualized in like Calvin Klein ads. And a very interesting side note about that, I was watching the documentary on Brooke Shields that my daughter presented to us, and they looked at the trajectory of like feminism rising, women's empowerment. And then, since women could no longer be put into this container of control, they placed the sexualization of female bodies on children. And so while that was always prevalent, it became more so in advertising and in culture. So here we are now. Here I am now, suddenly accepting and acknowledging my vanity, and allowing myself to fall in love with myself. I would sway over the years. I would sway like a pendulum from not feeling good, feeling unworthy, feeling not confident, to feeling really confident and knowing myself, knowing my ideas, knowing my intelligence, feeling good about myself and my body. And it would go back and forth. And now, I've found this centered space, and I'm uncovering a new layer of the onion. And this is the other thing about healing, is that there are layers, sometimes very thin filaments of residue, of layers of energy signatures, and sometimes finding a thick core. And don't be afraid of those. Don't judge yourself for like, oh, I've fallen into this again. I thought I was, healed and okay. This is a human journey, and this life affects us. Triggers, especially if you have family and children, the world is your mirror, and it's going to mirror and reflect back to you your experience at younger ages, your memories, all kinds of core wounding, soul memories, and ancestral karma to clear and heal, and lifetimes of karma to clear and heal and resolve. And these lessons, and they really are lessons, are here to be resolved, transmuted. So right now, my journey with vanity is to let myself fall in love with myself and liberate myself from the confines of shame, which is a self-perpetuating program that was introjected, that was placed upon us by conditions, cultural conditions, judgment, survival mechanisms, and the only thing it serves, let me put it this way, is to keep us weak and disempowered so that we can be controlled and kept small and not cause waves. You know, so when you are faced with a firebrand, that might make you afraid. But it's not that you're afraid for your life. You're afraid for the life you're not living. There's something in you that seeks to be unleashed, to be released from your body, to sing, to yell, to scream, to speak your truth, to dance, to love, to hug, to nuzzle, you know, that is restrained and held and contained. So this firebrand energy you know, whether it's in the field, in your community, in your family, in your child, is a shadow of your own being. So look within and embrace that part of you. Embrace your wild nature. Embrace all the shimmering beauty of the diamond that you are. And what I'm doing now, and I invite you to, you know, whatever stage you're in, whatever cycle of expansion, and we are all expanding, hold up, look in that mirror and hold up that mirror to yourself and really see your reflection and let yourself be moved. Let yourself cry with joy, with grief. Let yourself feel how you're feeling in the world right now with everything that's going on. Let yourself be touched by it. Let yourself be outraged. Let yourself feel confused and feel sad and vulnerable about that confusion. And let yourself see how beautiful you are, how beautiful that is, how beautiful and poignant it is to be human and vulnerable and present with whatever is present and arising within you, right? And this vanity piece is very interesting. It was very surprising. And, you know, it's the kind of thing that 10 years ago I would have hid. I would have not admitted. I would have been ashamed of. But I'm just looking at that part of myself very lovingly. And and embracing the truth that there is an innocence in that vanity. The innocence of a child looking at herself in the mirror dancing and seeing her reflection, right? Especially if no one else is reflecting back to you. Let yourself see yourself and reflect yourself back to you. And fall in love. Be in love with yourself. And journey with where that takes you. Right? This is a different world where, there's still so much to be surviving. And I pray that you are privileged enough not to be in mortal danger. And many of us are not. But having come through an experience of being in mortal danger, having come through more than once surviving that where I may not have, and moving through that guilt of being a survivor, I know that it is so important. It is a rebellion. It is part of the resistance. It is anti-oppression work to embrace life and celebrate your survival. Move past survival and live to the fullest. Laugh, dance, be beautiful, create. As an affirmation for life, we are here to live, and to live is to be a revolution against that which would dampen life force energy and keep us small, keep us thinking that we aren't beautiful creatures of the divine. So be a flower and think nothing of it. Just radiate. Be radiant and beautiful.